Hello, David. Hi, everyone. Just doing a quick sound check with you all.
Good evening, Kashraf. On my side is a bit of an echo because I'm actually running two things at the same time. So let me just see. Okay, let me close it this side. Yeah, there we go. Perfect. Okay, Kashraf, can you hear me?
Yes, David, I can hear you very well.
Okay, no, okay, there we go. The echo is gone. I think it was my side because I had two versions of Teams running. Our stream it's kind of broken on the app side, so we had to go through the backdoor route to get the stream going for the YouTube attendees. So, okay, there we go. Thanks, VS. See, he's also said hands up, everything good. All right, so we still got about 2 more minutes, and then we will get going. Thanks, guys. All right. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us. I'm David Hopstadt. I'm going to be program directing of some sort. Although we are with Kashraf today, this evening, again for lesson number 2. So I hope you guys enjoyed lesson number 1 and the engagement. So please do, again, engage as much as you want. Ask those questions, work through the MOOC so that you guys are aware of what's coming up. So I just want to show you guys quickly before we start today's lesson. Hopefully you guys have all been to the MOOC site because a lot of questions come in. Where do we get the content afterwards? You go to adov.unisa.ac.za. I will post it in the chat for you as well. Once you get on the site, you'll see it's the very first top banner. So when you click on it, you'll just have to log in with your My Life details or your personal details if you've created a personal account. And there we go. And you'll find all the content is sitting in here. So you can engage it, work through it. There's quite a lot of things to do. There are forum activities, so please do engage. And of course, very importantly, make sure you do your introduction and the quizzes and everything. So make sure you do everything because that's kind of a requirement for co-curricular. All right, so this is where you'll find it. If you want to go and look at the YouTube channels, then you can find us on our YouTube channel. So I'm just going to quickly show you from the get-go. I'm just checking that the stream is working. Let me just move this one out the way. So I'm just going to go to YouTube. And then you just do a quick search for Adolf. You'll probably find it's live as well. So ADOVH, zap the button. Let's pretend it's not there. And then you should be able to find us in this list. No, man, not Adobe. The system thinks of something else. ADOVH, there we go. And then you should find the Adolf channels. Of course, now it says live, but I'm just going to pretend I'm not seeing this one. There we go. So you go to Adolf, and this is where you'll find all our resources of all the courses, all the training that we do. You can see some of the Future Minds videos are up. So you just go to playlists, and then you'll see there is a playlist dedicated to the MOOC. Let me just find it. There it is, Model UN. You go click on it, and you'll see all the videos there. And you can see myself speaking to myself, but there we go. So that's also where you get all the recordings, guys. So enjoy the session. I'm going to hand over now to Kashraf, and I'm going to quickly share his presentation as well. So over to you, Kashraf.
Hi, David, and once again, Nathma, Richard, all colleagues, Lindiwe, and all of you. It is such a pleasure to talk to you today, and for those of you, I'm so glad to see you. It's like I'm meeting my friends again after 4 days. So just a big hello to all of you, and remember that we will be following the same protocols as earlier. And before we start, I want to ask you, if you went to the UN website, is there something interesting you saw? What's something additional you learned today? I mean, last few days on the website. Did you find any areas of your own passion? So let's take a couple of quick minutes, and I'd love for you to just put your thoughts down on the chat, and then let's move forward for today. David, while you're sharing the screen, can we just go to un.org for everyone to quickly see? Yes, so here on the screen, you can see this is the UN website, and David will be posting the link as well on the chat for you all. I'd say that definitely scroll through the website. Can we just go to the About Us and these first three sections? So when you see About Us, you see all of these important things that are here. You'll see the member states, you'll see the main bodies. We talked about all of these terminologies in the last session. So if you're following it, you can give me a quick emoticon response to know that we are all on the same page. Can we just quickly hover on the our work section also, David? Yes, so as you see that quite a lot of issues that we had talked about earlier, you see peace and security here, human rights, humanitarian aid, the sustainable development, international law, and can we click on the documents, please, David? Here in this.
Which one?
The documents.
Right, yes. At the end. Okay, there we go.
All right, so here, as you see that there is an option for you to go to the UN Digital Library, and again, that's a critical resource. If we scroll down, we will see quite a few options here. These links that again you can use to read more about issues, about the treaties that we've been talking about, the different maps here. And when we go further, that you see specific documentation for specific committees of the UN that we had again discussed earlier about the General Assembly, the Security Council. So my one request to you all will be to actually go to this website, and there is so much to explore here. If we come back to the main homepage once. Yeah, so let's go to events and news also. Yes, so this section again gives you quite a few links to the YouTube channel of the UN, and the streaming places, the radio programs, audio visual library. So I would really like you, and if we go down once. Yes, so again, like this, when we scroll down, you will see the meeting chart for the UN for today. I mean, for the UN, and then you see these journals, these noon briefings, and then where you see this whole section about Bangkok, Beirut, Addis Ababa, Geneva, Santiago. These are also commissions of the UN regional commissions which are operational. So these are all just links that I'd request you to access. And in case you have any observations that you'd like to share, you can also put them in the chat. All right. Now, I hope you've also been following. David, thank you. We can go back to our presentation, please. All right. So today our focus of the entire discussion is two things. One is understanding the rules of procedure for the Model UN and understanding how the debate takes place in the UN and the Model UN itself. So we will understand what these rules of procedures really mean, including basic terminologies and and then we will look at how to utilize these terms ourselves. So one request I will have for all of you is to take this on in a way that you're not just conceptually understanding it, but really you're building an understanding on using these terms in the main simulations. So let's go to the next slide, please. Next one. Yes. So while we look at the slide, I want you all to think and tell me the one word that comes to your mind when you hear the word debate. And if there are two words, feel free to write 2-3 words as well. But would love to hear from you in the chat. You hear this word debate all around you, and probably you're having debates every day. So what does this mean to you? Okay, ideas. Thank you, George. That's a very nice word that comes. Discussion, argue, okay. Raising opinions, argument, healthy argument, exchange of perspective. These are such excellent points. Let's appreciate everyone for these excellent points you're all making. I think they're amazing pointers. Exchanging opinions, absolutely. Engagement. So debate in a model UN and in the UN is a lot about exchanging of ideas for sure. But also one word that I'm missing here that I see is analysis. We are trying to analyze problems and finding solutions and then debating the impact of those solutions or the practicality of those solutions. We're trying to ascertain where the blame is if somebody is violating somebody's human rights or where the holdups are. So debate is not just us trying to give our perspective and justifying it. Debate in an MUN is that journey where you as a committee of people are collectively given a topic and then you are essentially taking that topic and dissecting it, understanding the whole issue, not just from your lens, but from the lens of every other member in the committee. And then you are trying to find solutions. So that is what debate means in a model UN framework. Okay. So I hope that is clear. And if you have any questions or comments, again, you can keep bringing them on the chat here. Some words that I'm also hearing, which are very interesting here, is convincing others. Viewpoints on specific topics, yes. Dialogues, absolutely. So thank you everyone for putting these forward. This is what the debate and dialogue essentially entails. Next slide, please, David. All right. So let's ignore this slide together for a minute. Let's first think about how many of you are following this news about the tariff situation around the world and its impact on the global economy? Anyone following that issue? Okay, I see so many hands ups. Brilliant. Could you very quickly write in 1 or 2 words or one short line, how are you looking at this issue and do you think that the perspective of different countries will differ on it? So I already see so many hands up. I request all of you to put your points in the chat. I'll give you all 1 to 2 minutes before we move forward, because it's essential for us to understand now how do we take this one issue and then move forward with it. I will repeat the question for our colleagues that right now we are hearing about certain idea of tariffs and their implication on the global economy. If you haven't heard about it, I think it's a very important issue you should read about. But if anyone wants to, and Angel has written this point about tariffs are taxes which cause inflation. George has written tariff is equal to economic bullying. Absolutely. That is one of the key perspectives right now we are hearing, and it affects the economy of the developing countries. Absolutely. So now let's say that this issue of tariffs or issue of peace and justice, issue of say climate change, issue of AI development, that is being discussed in the committee, and that is the agenda. Yesterday, we had in our last session, we had talked about what this agenda means. It means the issue that we are discussing. So say that that issue is already given to you a month in advance before the MUN. You do your research and you do all of your work around it. And after that, you are coming to the UN General Assembly to discuss this issue of tariffs or say climate change. So what is the first thing that happens? The first thing, as you now see the column number 1, is the commencement of the committee proceeding. It has certain things that take place. So we commence the committee proceeding. This means setting the ground rules, looking at any procedural questions anyone may have, and then we start with a roll call where every country has to address their roll call and tell us whether they are present or not. Secondly, we also adopt the formal agenda. And yesterday we had, I mean, when I say yesterday in our previous discussion, we had already talked about what this agenda means and why it is important to frame the agenda so that the interpretation of the agenda is more or less the same across countries. That completes the commencement stage. And in an MUN, it is a 5-minute process. So that is not where the key focus of our MUN remains. The key focus of our MUN remains in the second stage. The stage where the members of the committee are essentially debating and deliberating upon the issue. We will discuss in detail about how that debate takes place, what is really happening during that time. But the larger part of the discussion, say if it's a 3-day summit, then at least 2 days of the entire summit of an MUN are spent in the debate and deliberation phase. If you have understood this so far, if you can give me a thumbs up or a indicator, that will be excellent and very helpful for me. Okay, thank you everyone for your proactive response. Then we are moving forward. Once that entire debate has taken place, we go to the next stage, which is the resolution stage, where we take all the findings from the draft from our debates, and we actually start putting solution papers in front of the committee. And this is what the entire resolution process is all about. And if you hear so many times that X country has vetoed a solution in the Security Council, and so on, that is happening in this resolution process stage at the UN. So please, again, like you can look at this MUN process and then superimpose it and understand it in the real world. That the process that we are learning is the exact process that takes place at the UN as well, more or less. And finally, once we have adopted the final set of solutions after debating them and voting upon them, we conclude the meeting by adjourning the meeting. So this is something that is the whole architecture of an MUN and the whole movement of an MUN. I would say that 60 to 70% of the MUN time goes in the debate and deliberation stage, and then 20 to 30% of the time goes in the resolution process stage. So these are the two key processes that we have to learn to master, and whatever the official rules around this is what we need to understand. Remember that your debate and your actual points are far more important than the procedure itself. So if you are facing any challenges in the procedure, in understanding of the procedure, my recommendation is to not worry about it and just drop it at that moment. And your chairpersons, your facilitators in your committees will always be guiding you when it comes to the procedure. So procedure is not as important, but yet serves as an integral part of the discussion itself. I hope that we are together in our shared understanding on this flow now, because now I will be going into the flow itself. All right. So let us now go into the flow. Can we please go to the and again I am reading through all the comments you are making here. So please continue the dialogue in the chat. This is a very enriching dialogue. So please do. I encourage you and I appreciate you for that. Okay. So now we are in the first stage of an MUN. Everyone is geared up to start discussing things. And the first process is where your executive board, your chairperson, uh, will call the committee to order. This means that you have to be now in a formal posture. You have to be now in formal protocols. And this means that you cannot address yourself as I now, their personal pronouns. You have to address yourself as the delegate of the particular country. And now the chairperson will essentially say the following on the following lines that dear delegates, we welcome you to this simulation of the General Assembly at the UNISA Model UN. And they will give out a set of instructions to you. They will discuss any questions, and then they will say, delegates, we are now moving towards the roll call. So we request you to please address your roll call. Now, once that happens, they will call out every country's name one by one alphabetically. So what you have to do is when your country's name is called out, you have to answer as present. So you are saying present. Now, this means that you are telling the committee that I am present in the committee. If you are not present in the committee, then absolutely your ghost can't come and say you're absent in the committee. So that is very clear. So if you're present, you will say present. However, please remember if one of your friends is missing and they are reaching the committee, they're having internet troubles, and their country's name is called out, you as another delegate should not answer on their behalf because only they can answer on their behalf. So please remember that only you should answer in present when your country's name is called out. Now, another thing I want you to remember, uh, another thing that I want you to remember is that when these countries are named in the MUN, then many times their official names are taken up. So, for instance, who can tell me what is the name of North Korea when we look at the official name? Indeed, George, that is Democratic People's Republic of Korea. Similarly, when we look at China, it is People's Republic of China. When we look at India, it is the Republic of India. And similarly, all countries have their names rooted in their formal names that they take on. Many times you will see that the countries' names are also changed because the country's governance has decided to change their name. The most recent example, can anyone give me an example where an official name has been recently changed for a country? It's yeah. So go ahead, like you can, if you can recall any names that are now taken on as the formal names. Yes, absolutely. So when you look at the Democratic Republic of Congo, you can look at Turkey, which is now the name that Turkey is using. So we don't use Turkey anymore. So remember that the reason I'm telling you is that otherwise, if you are representing North Korea and the name North Korea does not appear in the list, then it is not because they have excluded you, but it is because it is the Democratic People's Republic of Korea. So the key lesson is to remember and know your official and formal name. And for those of you who are finding out, I would say you can research about this today, find out the new name changes that have taken place for various countries. Uh, so, so now that is one thing. Now, some of my friends are asking me, what does this present and voting mean? So I want to quickly touch upon that for you. Present means, in a way, telling the committee that I am present, but I may or I may not vote. Now, vote on what? Vote on the final set of resolutions. So this means that you are communicating that you have your primary purpose of being in the committee is first to understand the issue, maybe share your perspectives, but you may or may not have decided whether you will actually vote on the final document or not. So that is what present means. Present and voting simply means that I am present and I have come here determined to vote. So this means that that you will definitely be voting on the resolution. Now, what does it mean is if you give your response as present only, then when the voting takes place, you can either say yes, or you can say no, or you can say abstain. Abstain means you are choosing not to cast your vote. I have just put this in the chat as well for all of you. When we say present and voting, it means that you can only answer your final vote in a yes or a no. So this is something that is important and for you to remember why we say present and voting. Remember that when you give your roll call as present, you have the option to vote or not vote. So the option to vote is cannot be forcibly taken away from any country at any time. So you have to simply say present. That automatically implies that you can abstain later on, and you can say present and voting. That implies that you will definitely be voting yes or a no to the final proposed document. So I hope that is clear with everyone. Please remember that until the final voting process begins, you can change the status of present or present and voting depending on how the geopolitical situations are evolving. Now, absolutely. So this question, so depending on the issue, a representative can decide to vote or abstain. 100% agreed that if the direction of the debate moves in a place where you don't want to vote on it any longer, then you can simply change your roll call from present and voting to present. And that is something that is entirely your entitlement or your right. Now, let's go to the next slide, please.
Keshav, just before we go on, there was a question that you might have just missed it. Are the countries called in alphabetical order?
Oh, I had already talked about it, like that they are in fact called out in the alphabetical order. But if you are wondering where the People's Republic of China will be, People's Republic of China will be understood from China's sea in the order. So it will still be above Denmark. David, thank you so much for bringing that to my notice. And I think, again, thank you for that interesting question that you had raised, all of you. Okay. So now before we move forward, I have a quiz question for you. And it's not really a quiz, but an imagination question for you. Can you imagine any set of circumstances where you may have come prepared to vote, but eventually you may not want to vote? So what can be scenarios where you as a country are compelled to not put your vote on an issue? So let's put them in the chat, please. I can repeat my question. What are the circumstances under which there is a possibility that you should not be voting either yes or a no to a resolution. I am giving you 1 minute to please try to respond in the chat. And remember, no answer is incorrect. It's just our thinking for now. Yes, I will just repeat my question. What is the scenario in which you may have to not vote at all? That means you will not say yes or you will not say no. You will simply not vote on the issue. Okay. So Angel has written if the resolution contradicts the issue at hand, but in that case we can simply say no also. Uh, right? Like then we don't have to not vote on it. If it is against our country's policy, again we can say no. But this is a very interesting point that our friend has raised about conflicting views with trade partners. It is like your two best friends are on two different sides, and if you make a statement on either side, you are essentially putting your already existing relationships at risk. So this is one place where your foreign policy conflicts on both sides and you may want to abstain from voting. Another place where abstentions are seen is where you have deliberately as a country kept a policy very, very opaque, and to the whole world you have not responded very clearly on the policy. So can you give me a scenario where something like that can happen? So for instance, okay, uh, I am saying that some places a country does not want to disclose its policy at all, and giving a, oh, wonderful, this is such a terrific response that countries not confirming or denying having nuclear weapons. So say that there is a country I, and that country I does not want to tell the world whether they have nuclear weapons or not. So when the debate on nuclear disarmament takes place in the United Nations General Assembly, if they vote in favor of the nuclear weapons, it indicates they have nuclear weapons. If they vote against nuclear weapons, it indicates they may not have nuclear weapons. But either way, they are letting out their secret. So conflict of interest, as Henry has mentioned, yes, absolutely. So these are a couple of places where you may have to abstain. Now the final situation arises in the Security Council. In the Security Council, if you have initially put your vote, if you don't agree with a particular issue, like for instance, I will give you a very, very specific scenario from history. When the issue of UN intervening in Libya was considered, and certain countries wanted to uproot uh, Gaddafi's regime from Libya. What happened was that if Russia was an ally of Libya for a long time, but there was a lot of pressure being put on Russia. If they would have said no, then the entire resolution would have been vetoed, like how right now with Palestine the situation has been. Now, in that scenario, if Russia would have said no, it would have angered the entire international community. However, if Russia would have said yes, then it would have given a very, very wrong impression to the Libyan people, to the Libyan government, that they have abandoned the Libyan government. So Russia decided to abstain on that particular issue. And for that matter, you have to remember that the only way any Security Council resolutions get passed is when these certain P5 countries abstain on the vote itself. The moment they say no, then a veto protocol is activated. So that is where the importance of abstention on resolutions becomes the most evident. I hope that all these examples are amply clear to everyone. So now we will move towards the agenda. And again, if you have any questions, please remember to keep bringing them in the chat with us. Okay, so now comes the agenda. Agenda is the phrase of this problem that we are trying to discuss. That issue is communicated to the delegates maybe 2 months in advance or a month in advance. Our agenda for our MUN simulation in September are already designed, and we will be also sharing them in the coming time with you. So now coming back to the flow of the discussion, the first thing we discussed was the roll call. The second thing that happens is the committee officially adopts the agenda that is given to it. So that is a very straightforward process. It's a 30-second process. So we will move forward now. Next slide, please. All right. So now this is where the actual debate starts. The debate starts with first establishing what we call as the formal debate. Now, a formal debate is generally started through what we call as the speakers list. It is also called as the general speakers list in an MUN and very popularly referred to as a GSL. I have just put it on the chat. So a GSL means a general speakers list. This is the default format of the discussion. This means that when the MUN starts, until the time we go towards the voting on the resolution, this general speakers list is one continuous list that runs throughout the time. And countries can have their name added to the list. Once they have spoken on that list, the name can be added again, and you can nominate yourself multiple times to be on this speakers list. Now, what do we do on this speakers list is that this is the opportunity for us as countries to give our entire overall policy stand and position to the rest of the world. So the time generally for this list is 90 seconds. That means 1.5 minutes. It can go up to 2 minutes as well. But the central idea remains the same, that you mention a top view, overall view of the entire agenda from your country's perspective. So I hope that that is clear to everyone. Again, in case you have any questions, you can put them in the chat. How we talk on this list is something that we will talk about. Now, that's a brilliant question. Is 90 seconds enough? 90 seconds are enough if you are strategic about what to include and what not to include. One of the most important things in an MUN that you will learn is how to make your statements and your points in a very concise time format. And this will help you with your presentations in university, for your business deals in the future, and for any interviews you take. So this is a very vital skill that we all will be learning together in this MOOC as well. So 90 seconds means around 400 to 500 words, which is 1.5 word file page. That's a sufficiently long statement to make. So you'll get time to prepare. You have one whole month to prepare for these speeches. So that is something you will have ample amount of time to research and prepare for the debate. The aim is for you to research and have an informed debate with everyone, which is aligning with the foreign policy and international law and the principles of the United Nations. So that is something that requires time. So you will get the time to prepare. I hope that this is now clear on what this formal debate entails. Can we please go to the next slide? Next slide, please. Okay, so this is how the general speakers list looks like. This general speakers list is decided by a very simple method by the chairperson. The chairperson asks the delegates that who all would like to speak, and you have to nominate yourself. When you nominate yourself, the chairperson will take your nomination into account and then set the order. Sometimes it's on a first come first serve basis. Sometimes it is through a geographical equity for frame that we use, but there are these multiple ways in which a chairperson can determine who speaks when. Now, once India, this means that first is India. So when India speaks, India will give a 90-second remark, and India's name is struck off the list, and we move to USA and so on and so forth. So that is how the movement on the list takes place. Now, once India's turn is done, India can again request to be added at the bottom of the list, wherever the list is. So that way, this list is a organic, living, and a continuous list that runs throughout the entire MUN. So I hope that is clear to you. I hope that is clear to everyone. Can we please go to the next slide? All right, so moderated caucus and unmoderated caucus. So as we just talked about that, when we have the formal debate is the order of the formal debate is set at the beginning of the conference, and you are supposed to give your entire policy stance on it. But so that is the main purpose of the formal debate is to inform the committee of things. But the real discussion and the analysis of the issues takes place actually through the informal debate. So that is very important for us to note that the formal debate is used to give larger policy points, and the informal debate is used to analyze the issue, build consensus, and to move closer towards the solutions of the issue. Now, this debate is called informal because the structure of this debate is more informal. Uh, so that is something now that plays out in two ways. The first is what you see on the screen as a moderated caucus, and the second, as you see, is a unmoderated caucus. A caucus, the phrase itself means a discussion, a gathering of people. So a moderated caucus is the one where a chairperson is deciding who will speak when, but the topic is decided by the whole committee of what within the agenda has to be talked about. And this unmoderated caucus is when you can actually move from one place to the other, have informal conversations, and this is where actual alliances are built and people start working together on solutions. So now how this looks like in a real MUN is it's a 25-minute segment, and in that segment people decide to have either a moderated caucus or a unmoderated caucus. When this caucus takes place, the general speakers list is paused for a moment, and once the caucus completes, we return back to the speakers list. So David, can we please go to the previous slide? So say that India, USA, and Brazil have already spoken, and now the committee wants to have an unmoderated caucus. So then we will pause the list for till Brazil, and then we will go for a 20-minute unmoderated or a moderated caucus. We will complete this caucus and then we will return back to South Africa. And this is how we will keep going back and forth from the formal debate to the informal debate, keep discussing key issues of the agenda, and keep coming back to the formal debate. So this is how largely the whole MUN is functioning. I hope that is clear to everyone. If you have any questions, please feel free to include them. Oh, this list, this is a reference to your question that this list is a sample list that is drafted fresh in every committee, depending on whichever delegates want to take the initial initiative and nominate themselves. So this list is not a fixed list. India, we have just written it as an example for now. So I hope that is clear to everyone. I will give you a 1 minute reflection time. In case you have any doubts, I request you to please put them here. But as we move forward now, it is very important that we have common clarity before we move forward. So You have 30 seconds, reflect on this, and then let us resume our conversation. And please keep putting your questions in the chat. Okay, so so thank you so much for your questions. These are so important. So the first is, does this GSL include all countries at the UN, or it has some sort of a limit? George, the limit, there is definitely a limit because the time is limited. One of the reasons why we limit this in the MUN is that because ultimately we want all speakers to speak and we have limited time period. That is why uh, there is that limit. Secondly, we can't force any country to speak. So if they don't want to speak, we can't place them on the list. The third is when the speakers is done, does it mean that the meeting is over? Technically speaking, yes, because your speakers list concluding means that you are now ready to move into a resolution stage. So that means the meeting is not over, but the debate is over and the voting on the resolution starts. So that is the response on that question. If say Brazil speaks and we take a unmoderated caucus, informal caucus, will they have to wait for the last speaker before speaking again? So if Brazil is about to speak and before that we to take the caucus, then when we resume, Brazil is the next speaker. Brazil speaks and then we go to an unmoderated caucus, then we go to the next speaker after Brazil on that list. Okay, so the next question that I'm seeing is, what about the veto power? Is it something that takes place in the model UN? Please remember that the veto power is only applicable in the United Nations Security Council. So wherever those simulations take place, veto is definitely taken on. And some MUNs, however, try to remove this veto also because it creates a lot of blockages in adopting resolutions. The problem with removing vetoes from such simulations is that then it takes away the reality and from the pragmatism of the Security Council's ability to act. Because if there is no veto and China says no to something, and then you go against that and the UN acts, so that effectively means that you are trying to provoke China into a war. So that is why the veto system is generally not removed. The number is not limited to 8. The number is infinite, technically speaking. But I have put 8 because that is what could go on my slide without disturbing the design and the font size. So that is just an example. This number is a very dynamic number. Okay. So lobbying, now one person has asked this question saying that so lobbying is a formal way of bribery. Lobbying is not just happening through bribery, it is happening through it is happening through reasoning, it is happening through debate, it is happening through you building rapport with somebody, you building a positive relationship with them. So remember that lobbying is not just a formal way of bribery. The word lobbying that you hear in the sense of bribery is political lobbying of certain interest groups into legislative processes. So that lobbying is also another kind of lobbying. And I am not saying that countries don't accept or give financial for influencing their policies, but in our context, lobbying is far more persuasive and debate centric than bribery centric. So that is the response on that. In case somebody wants to bribe us, if you want to send some South African rands, then please go ahead. We will gladly accept your lobbying with us. Anyway, so now can the two countries collaborate and use the time to speak on one matter? Not in the general speakers list. You can't do that in the general speakers list. General speakers list is time is allocated to one country only. Same with caucuses as well. Um, I'm just reading the last couple of questions. Are there any situations where a UN secretariat or president of the GA can block a member from voting? Has there ever been a case where country refused to vote and it caused a resolution to fail even though there were no votes? I think let me first look at your first question. Are there any situations where the UN secretariat or the president can block a member from vote? I don't think there is any provision that gives secretariat or president such power. Please remember that members of the UN make the United Nations, not the secretariat or the president. They are simply serving there and facilitating, so they don't have power over countries. Has there been ever a case where country refused to vote and it caused a resolution to fail even though there were no votes? There is I mean, I'm not sure if this is logically like making sense to me, if I may be transparent, because if there is no vote and certain countries abstain from voting, then the remaining votes are positive votes. Our votes which are remaining are yes. So ideally, the resolution should pass. So I think how do you expect the lobbyists to get paid? Right. Okay. So yeah, I mean, remember that we are operating and discussing these on two different levels. One is what the protocol is, and what you are talking about is the real practice in the world. As I had said, again, if you have any generous donations coming towards myself or David, I don't know if David can accept on UNISA's behalf, but you can certainly send them to me. Um, so, so let us, and you can take the details from me on LinkedIn, no problem. So I hope that now the moderated and the unmoderated caucuses are clear for to begin with. And let's go to the next slide, David. Okay, so we have already discussed about the moderated caucus, but I want you to focus on the last line here in the slide, which says, in the example that Italy moves for a 5-minute moderated caucus with 30 seconds to discuss the solutions to women's rights. So now this would be ideally a 15 to 20-minute caucus, and we can keep the time as 60 seconds. So this is how somebody proposes for a caucus to take place. Now, this is not so important, honestly. Like how somebody proposes a caucus is not what is important. What is important is in our preparation, how do we divide the entire conversation into important themes to be broken down and discussed in the moderated caucus. So now say our issue is green technologies, climate change and artificial intelligence. So I want you all to break down this issue and put in the chat what would be the 3 to 4 key sub issues of AI and climate change that we should be having moderated caucuses on. That is the key learning for us. So I am again giving you 2 minutes time to think about it as to what the themes can be. Moderated caucus is not a rebuttal. Moderated caucus is actually a space designed to specifically discuss a sub issue and develop consensus can be specifically built on these different sub issues. So I hope that that is something that we are developing some clarity towards. So now the exercise is that we have the agenda that is climate change and artificial intelligence. If you were to divide it into 6 key problems that should be taken up in different moderated caucuses, what would be those 6 key themes is what you need to put in the chat. You can also put one theme if you want, but if you also want more themes, then you can put multiple themes as your suggestions as well. We will take 2 minutes here and we will put them in the chat together, and then I can give you a feedback and suggestions on whether we are on the right track or not. To begin with, this aligning development in AI with SDGs is absolutely spot on. It is something that will definitely be one of the core themes that should be discussed in a moderated caucus. And an entire 20-minute moderated caucus can be simply discussing the aligning of development in AI with the sustainable development goals. So I encourage you to think on similar lines and give more points. And thank you so much for this point that you have mentioned. The environmental impact of running AI and how it aligns with going green, very good. This is also absolutely spot on. Restricting AI in warfare. Yes, this is something that is important, but remember that your ability to lead the committee depends on your ability to stay relevant and impactful. And if the agenda is centered around climate change and artificial intelligence, then while AI remains a very, very important concern to address, it is not directly addressing the climate change issue. So while this is an important point, but we need to think more from the climate change and artificial intelligence lens now. And I hope that none of us are taking the help of assistance of Luazi or ChatGPT in generating these responses, because this is a thinking exercise for all of us. Okay, fantastic. So scalability challenges is another very important issue. AI tools in food production, in ocean cleanliness, AI in monitoring electricity generation. These are all very, very important issues. The tip I will give you, from my side is that the problem that you're trying to discuss and propose in the committee, the more countries are affected by it, your framing of the problem, if it has implications on more countries, then it is something that obviously people will want to discuss more probably, right? So the probability of them voting for your proposal increases. So you can also touch upon those issues which are addressing multiple countries, and all the issues that you have already talked about here, they are absolutely touching upon most of the countries. So this is you've already nailed the whole thing very well. If you have any questions about this breakdown, we can discuss it together. But let me tell you are all on the right track. So let us appreciate all of you for thinking in the right direction. This is very, very good. All right. So now this is how moderated caucuses keep happening. We keep branching to caucuses. We keep coming back to the speakers list, and this back and forth continues. So this is moderated caucus. Can we please go to the next slide, David? Unmoderated caucus. Now, an unmoderated caucus is when we have to do backdoor negotiations. We have to sit together and create, blocks for negotiations. I had told you in the last discussion this word called bloc, BLOC. So these blocks are countries who have similar interests who get together to negotiate for a common particular way of solutions or a common vision. So can you think of one solution that a certain set of countries can together advocate, and give me in an example? Like if I were to ask you uh, that if the issue was about the rising sea levels across the world, so what would be the set of countries which may be clubbed together and have a similar interest? So you can put them in the chat, and you can also give me larger classification if you don't want to give me a specific set of names. Yes, allies. Yes, you're right, Kagisho, that the allies are those people in the blocks are actually allies. But who do you think collectively, which set of countries will want to negotiate global warming in a certain way? Yes, absolutely spot on. So OPEC countries. For those of you who don't know what OPEC countries are, it is the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries. The island countries, very nice. So these island countries are facing a similar challenge that their entire existence can be eroded by climate change, and they have nowhere to go. So Pacific states, very nice. So this is exactly how countries might, maybe some developing emerging economies. If you see BRICS, the BRICS is itself a block of developing countries that is calling for multilateral, rebalancing and climate change concessions for developing countries and so on. So that is how interest groups are created, and all of you who have mentioned these solutions, absolutely, you're 100% correct. So this is what is happening in, yes, West Africa, absolutely, G7. You're all now thinking in the right place. And this is how you can also identify very easily your allies and whoever is not your allies. Now, this is something that I want to ask from you. Do you think that all African countries generally negotiate together? uh, Even though they have a African Union, but do they actually negotiate things together or not? And what could be the reason for it? So let's take a couple of minutes and let's hear from everyone in the chat together. The question was that, do you think that all the African countries have the same negotiation block together? Do they negotiate things together? And why not? What could be those reasons? Yeah, most of you are thinking in the right direction. They usually may or may not negotiate in the same way for the same thing because of so many different factors, and a lot of it also depends on which country's economy is tied into which another country's economy in outside Africa as well. So sometimes there is those influences as well, which are coming, for national interest based issues. We have also seen several times, like other continents, there are differences between countries, border disputes, issues about migration, and all of that. So there are several reasons and factors which we have seen in the past have prevented the continents from having a consolidated voice, and the same is applicable on several issues across Asia as well. It's the same situation in Europe also, depending on certain issues. Countries have their own policies, and the same can be observed in Latin America, in Southern America, in Northern America as well. So remember that geographical nearness or proximity is not always the criteria for people voting together or getting in the blocks. It is a more complex issue of national interests and balancing your national interests with so many other issues. So I hope that that is a good reflection space for all of us moving forward. So let's now go to the next slide, please. Next slide, please, David. Points and motions, let's skip that for now. We can move forward. Next slide. Next one. Next. Right. So now, let us now go to the most exciting part of our discussion, which is about speech making. So what are we doing when we are making a speech? And your homework after today's session is to actually design a particular speech that you will make on climate change and AI from a country's perspective. You can choose your country. It can be South Africa, it can be any country that you want to choose and develop your speech from that perspective. So you will have to do a little bit of research about the perspective of that particular country, and you have to work on your speech. And then you can upload it in the forum. And I know that there are activities that are built in for specifically this purpose as well in the module, and on the platform there is a lot of space for you to get your work peer reviewed as well. So now let us look at the what are the important things. So the first thing is when you are making a speech, the first thing is respect and gaining the attention of all the delegates. So this means that you can take a pause when you start a speech, address everyone respectfully. This would mean that you will say something around the lines of, wishing all the honorable delegates and the executive board good morning, and we are excited to be here and share our remarks. So those kind of things you are starting out with. Now, once you have done that, you then go towards, uh, you know, um, making very clear structured points. So for your general speakers list, I want to start discussing with you. When you are giving your general speakers list, firstly, it is very important for you to address any technical or subjective interpretation of the agenda itself. So, for example, if the agenda is phrased in a politically neutral way, for instance, in the Security Council, that might be situation in Palestine, then you will have to, before you begin, you have to challenge that very narrative and first say that, ladies and gentlemen, this is not the discussion on the situation in Palestine. This is a situation about human rights, dignity, humanitarian situation, aggression, violation of international law, and human rights. So, what you're essentially doing is you are, in a way, I'm putting it in the chat, you're reframing the debate topic itself, right? So, you are giving your own interpretation of the agenda and you're reframing the very issue that has to be discussed. Of course, this issue will not be changed because of your reframing, but it is put in the official record of the discussion, and other countries which agree with you on the same definition will already start coming towards you for collaboration. So reframing the topic is important in case it needs reframing. After that, you can start discussing what the global context of this agenda is, how it affects the people, what the causes for this issue is. Are there any, and remember that for each of these issues, you can use any statistics that can consolidate your case. We will discuss later on what kind of sources are accepted at the UN, what is not. So that is something that you can do. Use statistics to consolidate and advance your case. Once you have discussed the impact of the problem and the causes of the problem, then you look at the current solutions, and you can look at them from your country's perspective, like what has your country done in itself to combat that issue. For instance, if it is about artificial intelligence and climate change, you may want to look into how your country has created policies towards countering climate change, how you are regulating artificial intelligence, what bills have you passed, what are the issues under consideration, and so on. So you are able to inform the committee about what is happening in your committee and then in your country, and then you can start reflecting on what international actions has your country been supporting. So for instance, a country might say that we are committed towards the sustainable development goals and the goal 13 of of addressing the climate crisis. We believe that AI has an important role to play uh, in in the international context. The UN adopted this UNGA resolution number in 2024, and our country voted in favor of it. Our country has also signed the Paris Agreement Accords and committed to fulfilling its requirements. So you are informing how your country aligns at an international level with other countries and international law. After that, I think you can bring the discussion back to what the challenge at hand is and what your suggested solutions will be. Now, when you are addressing solutions, remember to, if somebody has given solutions which are similar to yours, you can also appreciate them and refer to them. That the Honorable Delegate of Germany had also proposed similar solutions, and we believe in we share the similar thinking with them. So this invites collaboration through your statements. If you think that another country has achieved some scientific advancement that is helping the world, you can also appreciate them, acknowledge them. And if you think that there are certain key issues to be flagged to the committee, you address those issues. And finally, you close your speech by saying thank you. So this is how a general speakers list, a speech flows. And as you may have realized that this requires you to have a total understanding of the issue. It requires you to understand how this issue affects the whole world and your own country. It requires you to understand the current and the past solutions. It requires you to also understand the international frameworks around it. And finally, what kind of solutions are currently being discussed and what should be the way forward. So this is how a JSL speech is written. By a simple show of hands, how many of you are feeling a little overwhelmed listening to all that will go into this speech? And it's okay to hear it at first and feel that way. If you're feeling that this is too much, uh, you can do a thumbs up or whatever, a heart. Okay. So yes, this can be a lot. Of course, this is a lot of issues to discuss, first unpack, analyze, understand, then think about, and then draft your points. But remember, this is how international advocacy works. So if you want, as young people, for your voice to be heard at the top forums, this is exactly what will prepare you to make a structured intervention if you are asked to speak at the UN. And that is the very point of doing an MUN and not having a simple discussion over coffee about AI and climate change, because an MUN will always demand you to research rigorously. It demands you to think very deeply. It demands you to draft responsible statements which are policy oriented, and finally then you have to negotiate. So imagine if you have learned all of this in the next 2 months, your ability to put a informed voice out, whether it's in your local legislative body or civic body or your own universities or your neighborhoods, or the even with the senior leadership of your country, you directly can get a seat at the table. And the moment you get the seat at the table, you are already equipped with the methodology to take it on. So don't worry. The more speeches you will make, the more you will understand how to keep them concise. For now, in the first attempt, don't worry about the word limit or the time limit. I request you to just write a speech which you think is structured, and and that is important. Now, this is a very interesting question. Many people work with a How many people work with a country's delegate to write a speech? Are you asking at the UN or are you asking at the MUN? If you can also write that in the chat about this question. At the UN. At the UN, you have the whole diplomatic office. Uh, at the UN, you have the entire diplomatic office, which could be good 7, 8, 10 people trying to write the speech and different drafts. Once this speech is drafted, it is sent to the Ministry of External Affairs of your own country or the foreign ministry. It is first vetted and approved, and then it is brought to the UN and then read out. So in a sense, sometimes a drafting a speech can even include as many as 20 to 30 different people at different hierarchies contributing to that speech. The researchers may be different, the drafters may be different. And that is the beauty of it, that when you take on that role as an individual, what it equips you is to directly assist any senior level policy making body. So remember that this is not to harass you and to trouble you. This is to equip you to reach to the next level now in your voices and advocacy. Uh, can I am just seeing this one more question before moving forward. This is regarding, it says, can you please in the chat clarify the speech? So could somebody please, uh, Kagisho, could you, if I'm pronouncing your name correctly, could you kindly just give me a more detailed question contextually so I can address it? That will be very helpful, please. Okay. So while we do that, now I hope this initial speech structure is clear to you. And remember, it flows very logically. You are moving from problem discussion to the solution discussion. And initially you're discussing problem analysis and then you're discussing solution analysis. So think of it like this movement, and your speech structure will not be a problem. Remember that the speech structure I am sharing with you is not a, a basic rule. It is simply one of the smart ways of organizing your thoughts. In case you want to organize your thoughts in another way, you can do that as well. So don't think that you have to be for always follow the structure I tell you. Uh, you can develop your own structure as well. Okay, so I will just repeat. Thank you for clarifying your question. Uh, the activity is that you have to write a 90-second general speakers list speech from your country's perspective. You can pick up any country that you want for the exercise right now. And you are talking about AI and climate change in that speech. Uh, and uh, and you are essentially introducing your country's stance initially. Then you're doing a problem analysis. Who is affected by the problem? How are they affected by this issue? How many people are affected by the issue? And then you are understanding what kind of solutions, international actions have been there in this regard, and which have your country supported, how have their journey been, what their experience is. And then moving forward, what are the immediate set of discussions and solutions that you want to propose to the committee? So that is the larger framework that you can follow. And we have also given some of these structures in the MOOC content also for you. So that is about this speech making bit initially. Can we please go to the next slide, David? The next one. So this we have already covered how the GSL speech is done. And again, like you can take these. I can type the speech question for you in the chat. I will just do that right away, Leon. Thank you so much. So your issue is using AI to combat climate change. That is your agenda. I'm putting it here for all of you, so you can please refer to it. You are discussing this in the UN Environment Program. This is your committee, and your country is, you can choose your country. So I've just put all three of them in the chat for all of you. If you can please acknowledge this via a thumbs up on that particular message, it will be very helpful to us in knowing that we are all on the same page. What I can request is once my discussion is done, David could actually tell you about where you can put your entries on the MOOC platform. David, if you don't mind, I know I always keep putting you on the spot, and you are so gracious in addressing things impromptu, but this is something that will be very helpful to us once the session closes. Before that, please do help us understand where we can post all of these. Precious, this is not an exam. Precious, right now, whatever I've put in the chat is the actual assignment for the for when we meet the next time. And now on the screen, what you are seeing is common, kind of phrasing that speakers use. So this is something that you can refer to in understanding how these phrasing can work out. So that is about the phrasing. And again, don't worry, like you don't need to remember the phrasing. You can simply uh, just remember you have to be diplomatic and respectful, and you can develop your own style of speaking as well. Every leader can have their own style. You can have yours also, so you can decide how you would like to phrase things. Uh, can we go to the next slide, please? Um, Again, like there are all these, fillers, that phrases that people use. Furthermore, in addition to, moreover, to prove something that they say evidently, inevitably. So what this slide is trying to also show you, and you will have access to the slides afterwards, is how you are able to fine tune and polish your language while you are making your speeches. Because what it does is, if you have these phrases with you very quickly, you can actually make more points in less words. So your word efficiency increases through this. The Please remember, let me clarify if I'm able to understand the question by Precious uh, clearly, that you have to write your speech on this issue of using AI to combat climate change. It needs to be a 90-second speech, but if it exceeds that, it's all right, absolutely all right. And I would recommend, in case you'd like to look at some of the UN speeches and MUN speeches, we have given the reference links in our MOOC platform itself. So maybe David can also show you where those sections are. So that is about the common phrases. Now let us move forward, please. Let's go further. Okay. So David, I believe, are we at the end of our slides?
Yes, Kashif, that's the last slide.
Okay, so we can just stop sharing screen for now, if it's okay. And we can just for the next section, I will just try to have my video on, so I can just see you very quickly for last 2 minutes. Let me say hello to everyone everyone here. It's such a pleasure to talk to you today again. Um, so the last question is that, so can you reject using artificial intelligence? Absolutely. If your country is having a stance like that, then it's absolutely not a problem. It is absolutely all right for you uh, to not advocate for AI use. That is not an issue. Now, what I would recommend is, in case you are going to generate these speeches from AI, first request, please do not do it, because right now it is important that you understand how to phrase these speeches, and you can always generate them later on AI. So try to write your own structure. Once you have written your own structure and you still want to use AI, I would recommend you to use AI in fine tuning your speech, in trying to understand the blind spots in your speech, and to try to anticipate what kind of opposition will come, so you can strengthen your speech through the arguments that you are understanding there. So don't use AI simply to take speech content, use AI to build your understanding. So this is where I will, David, conclude my discussion for now. And and I hope to see that you've done a little bit of your work and you've read through a little more about the AI and climate change issue, so that when we meet next, we can have a more agenda-centered discussion and apply all of this together. The second thing that you can also do is you can also break down the the themes of this agenda into, say, 7 topics for moderated caucuses. So as we had done this exercise on chat together, we are doing something similar for this agenda, and for this you will have to do some reading and research. Remember to be smart about AI. You lead AI, don't let AI itself lead you. So fact check it if you're not feeling that something is right. And David, let me just conclude by thanking you, Sammy, Lindiwe, Richard, everyone in the team for once again stupendous support and for all the promptness with which you execute everything that I ask you for in the last moment without any plan. So thank you once again for being super attentive and responsive through our sessions. Over to you, David.
All right, thanks, Kashraf. Much appreciated. Anytime. Okay, so there we go, guys. In the chat, I've just given you. You'll see my chat there for everyone. So you'll see there's the link. It will take you to the MOOC site. So please just log in with your details. If you're a student, use your student details. If you haven't accessed the site yet, and then you'll see it's a forum. All right. So the question that Kashraf posted, it's there. The agenda using AI to combat climate change. So once you open the forum, I'm going to show you in a few seconds. You're going to click on add discussion topic. You're going to type up your answer, and then you're going to post to the forum. So how does it all look? I'm just going to quickly show you. So you will find it under, there we go, key concepts. So that is lesson 2. That's what we were doing this evening. And there you'll find there's the activity right over there. So work through the content. You can work through the slides again. There they are. But this is the one that you guys are going to do for this Thursday coming. So you can come post here. You're just going to click on add your topic, give it a subject, fill in your information, and then you're going to click on post to forum. And that's as easy as that. And then next on Thursday, then we will actually come have a look at these answers, what you guys have done. So there we go. Nice and easy. So just remember, go to the Adolf site, guys. I will post these steps again for you, just in case you maybe missed it in the beginning. And then this is where you will come and post your answers to using AI to combat climate change. That's quite an interesting topic, and that's why we're doing it, because it's very relative to the world we're in, and of course with AI itself. So that wraps up our session for tonight, guys. Thank you again once more for joining. I understand all the difficulties and work and life, especially on a Monday, but we really appreciate it. Thank you again to Kashraf for coming over from India to host and do the training with his expert knowledge. And of course, thank you guys for putting the time and effort in, and of course the rest of the team that has joined us this evening as well. All right, then I'll see you on Thursday. So look out for the SMS. Have a blessed evening further, and goodbye to everyone.